Good enough with this. Thanks again for tuning into yet another video. We are doing a quick install on the fuel pressure regulator and the filter for your Milwaukee 8 fuel pump. So let's go ahead and walk through this real quick. We are going to remove the fuel pump, and it's a super tight fit for this. You have to be very, very patient when you're removing the fuel pump. It's going to take a lot of patience, and it's going to take a little bit of elbow grease. So you have to, of course, move these components in this exact order to get it out. So first you got to remove or pull out the filter that you see that I'm pointing at. You got to pull that out first. And then we have to angle the fuel pump towards the center of the fuel tank because of the vent in this new fuel pump is all one piece. So you have to angle it towards the end. Like I said, you do have to take your time and you have to take it slow. All right, guys, you guys can do it. So this video is different. The footage was recorded in a few different days. Okay, so in case you're wondering and it sounds a little odd, it's because I recorded this over, I'd say, about 4 days because of the fuel pressure regulator was extremely tough to remove. So here you have to, like I said, look at where you're getting binded up or look at what's being held up. So you have to, of course, pinch the filter housing and the fuel pump together so you can pull out the pump. And that's what I'm doing right here. Is, like I said, you just gotta take it slow, be patient, and look where the fuel pump is getting caught up at. So like I mentioned, if it's the video itself was recorded over a few days, and basically most of the footage will be in camera voice. You can also see where the fuel level sensor is also being held up. So that's the next piece that you would have to pull out along with the vented the vent and the fuel pump. So just, you know, look at what I'm pointing at. We have to slide these components out to get this thing out because, like I said, it's a very tight fit. So here comes the vent, and then you have to look at your float, which is also in there. And basically when you install this, you have to do it exactly the same way that you saw here. All right, so hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in to another video. Please like the video, guys. Please like the video. All right, so let's go ahead and just pull this out. Can I do this by hand, or do I have to use? Oh, okay. I don't need a flathead. I can just pull it out. So I don't know what you call this, a retainer clip. You gotta pull out this retainer clip, but you also have to be a little bit cautious because this thing is made out of plastic. So just take it easy. If it's not coming out, just take a look at it and see where it's, you know, being held up on. So, and remember, of course, the orientation of this, the little bend is facing up, and we'll make a note of that when we put it back together. Let's see if I can pull this out. I don't want to snap this on my fingers. Alright, there we go. And be careful with sparks because this thing's full of fumes. You know, metal and metal, scratching, stuff like that. That could cause some sparks. So this is what we're looking at. I don't know. I mean, let's go ahead and pull that out. Alright, so we finally got it out. This is the day after, or the second day. You guys can see right down there, I finally got it out after much hassle and much, you know, fighting this and stuff like that. So you're probably wondering, how was I able to get it out? I used this specific Allen head. I don't know what size it is. It doesn't have a measurement on it, but I use this. I'm not gonna put it back in there, but of course that was in there like so, and I just I just kind of did this jazz right here, put the Allen head underneath of the spacer, this O-ring, and then just I walked it out slowly but surely, you know, a little bit of this, sorry the camera wasn't on there, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and finally I got it to the point where that lip was at the very top, and I just pulled it and it yanked it out. So in case you're, you know, dealing with this and you're wondering, I would say this is probably it, because, or maybe a little bit smaller, maybe something that fits flat underneath, but this was wedged up against the inner of this regulator, kind of like that. So that was kind of in there, and it allowed me to yank it out. So you can see all that residue from all the other stuff that I was sticking in there. You know, nothing worked. Somebody left a comment about replacing the fuel filter. I'll probably do that too, but now I could put this new piece in there. But unfortunately, I already have the other pump in there, so I'm not even gonna bother pulling it out and seeing if that's what it, you know, if that was the issue. But I think since I'm already here, I'm gonna replace this filter, and then I'm gonna just have this extra this extra fuel pump just in case, you know, down the road. Servicing the fuel pump. This is for a Milwaukee 8. You guys can see that it looks like a Sportster fuel pump, but the only main difference is this vent is built into the pump. So if you guys seen the channel earlier, I struggled removing the fuel pressure regulator. I now finally managed to take it off. So if you saw the end of that video, of course you pull out your fuel pressure regulator. This is stuck inside, so that took me about 40 minutes to remove, and I used a Allen wrench. I don't see where it is, but if I find the footage, I'm gonna put it in here. And I slowly walked this out of its home, which was this right here. You can see all the little debris from gouging out the inside of this washer O-ring device, whatever you call this. So now that we finally have this out, we'll be able to install the new one. So here is the part number 612000055 fuel pump fuel regulator assembly. I guess that's what they call it. So let's go ahead and pull that out, and we're gonna go ahead and just install that, and pretty much we're done. But I read a comment on the YouTube from that channel. Somebody suggested replacing the fuel filter, so that's what we're also going to be doing in this video. So of course you want to make sure it's inside the way you pulled it out. So we got to put this in there like so. Let's see how tough this is going to be, because this feels like it's a really tight fit. So we just got to push that in. I wonder if there's like, can we use oil to kind of lube this up a little bit? That way it's not so tight. Wow, that's really tight. And it's going in there. You just gotta push it in. All right. Trying to see the cameras in the way, I can't really see, but we gotta make sure this is fully inserted. I'm putting quite a bit of pressure to push that inside, and let's see if that still sits. All right, so it looks like we can still install. I'm guessing this is the wire that powers this, because it's like a ground wire. So that looks pretty good. Of course, you got to make sure when you install this, it goes back the same way you took it off. So you can see there's a little slot here. You got to line that up with this one, and then of course we got to put our retainer clip back inside. And remember, the clips that are recessed, they go towards the top. All right, so that looks all right, but that has to be all right. There we go. So hold that down. All right, we got that in there. So now that's retaining the fuel pressure regulator. That looks pretty solid. Now we're going to be replacing the fuel filter on this thing, and you can see there's a little bit of fluid in there, so there's still fuel in there from before when I removed it. Let's go ahead and grab our flathead, see if we get this off. And you also have to be cautious if there's fumes around here and there's a spark. You could have, of course, spark and fuel, they don't mix too well. This retainer clip is just a pain to get off, and I don't want to pinch my finger too. Let's go ahead and grab our flathead again, try to pull that out. Come on. All right, now I gotta go fetch that. because that went behind the toolbox. And we gotta pull this up. Wow, that is really quite tough. Let's grab the flathead and see if we could walk this out slowly. Alright, so after much pulling and grunting, I am now able to pull out the filter, I believe. Man, why is everything so tight on this thing? Oh, I can see the filter the filter does have a crack to it. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up. But man, that was tough to pull out. So this is the Sportster filter, I believe that's gonna fit on this. We also have an O-ring on here that looks to be this piece down here, so let's go ahead and replace that. Yeah, it looks identical. How are we gonna pull out that filter? See if this works. Just trying to grab a hold of it. Yikes, finally pull that out. I don't know what this filter is supposed to look like. I don't know if it's supposed to be this color. I don't know, but obviously the Sportster filter is slightly shorter. I doubt that's going to be an issue though, because this should still sit in there. Yeah, I believe it's still fine. So let's go ahead and slide that in there. There's not, oh, okay, I see it. There's a little piece on top that was probably holding that filter together. So let's go ahead and move this back. Make sure you line up this right here on this one, because it's gonna suck if you put it all together and then you got to redo it again. All right, so we're just making sure everything's back the way it should be. Camera's falling because I don't have a lot of room here. Let's see, there we go. All right, we're back. So we got to line up, of course, this. We have the new filter, we have a new O-ring. I don't know if is this factory from Harley Davidson, this color, gray? It looks fine to me. I don't know what these little white dots are though. I don't know. But okay. So let's go ahead and slide this back in there. Make sure that we are aligned with the other clips. And let's see if we could push this back in. Alright. Gonna make sure that's lined up. And we got to push this in, and once again the camera's falling off. We're just gonna walk it down. Yeah, we're getting there. It's taking a minute. Wow, that is tough. All right, so I think that's pretty much it. Now we got to find the retainer clip that's somewhere behind over there. And then of course you put everything back into its place. This looks like this went in where it's supposed to go. Yeah, that looks like that's in there. We just got to make sure when we sit all of this stuff together that the retainer clip holds the pump, everything where it's supposed to be at. All right, I found it. I'm full of husky here because my dog sheds like crazy. So we found the retainer clip. Remember, the recessed or the one that's tapered down goes towards the bottom, so we have to make sure when you're installing this, you got to make sure that the pump gets caught with the adapter on the bottom as well. So was this facing this way? I believe it was, right? So let's go ahead and push that into place, push it down. Looks like we got to go down just a bit more, because it's not here. Let's see if we could get it, because it's on there now. You see it right there. Let's see if we just push it down. Man, this sucks. Let's see if we push it down, if it's gonna fully sit into place. There's one. We need to put in the other side as well. Alright, there we go. So the retainer clip is now installed. We have now replaced the filter and the fuel pressure regulator that has now been replaced. And if we have any more issues as far as the engine being starved of fuel at, you know, at full throttle, then there has to be something else. I really doubt there's anything else, any more issues other than that. Alright, so sorry for the mess. This is the new gasket, of course. It's just like the Sportster one. So we're going to pull this out. We're going to have a fresh new gasket in there, and hopefully this does not leak, because they look identical. I'm guessing they're the same. So we just pull this out. You got to make sure you clear all the little filter here and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and push that through. Wrap that up, and then of course get it in there. Pull this off, and now we are out. This is the old one, this is the new one. You guys can see they're pretty much the same. Are they the same? No, you know what, the Sportster, the Sportster one feels a little bit thicker, but it's probably because it hasn't been compressed. So let's go ahead and put this back in there, and remember, this is facing down on the bottom. The what is it? What would you call this? The U canal, or the one with the cavity, or the canal, or whatever, is facing down. So let's go ahead and wrap this into the pickup. Grab our float, wrap that in there as well. I don't know if the camera's picking it up. Go over the vent. Tuck that down, and then of course you also have to remember your little filter that goes on that, and then we go ahead and just press this into the cavity of the fuel pump. You can see how it fits like a glove. So I'm guessing, you know, I don't know why the other one was leaking, or it looked like it was leaking. Alright, so that's in there. Now let's see if the camera's gonna pick this up, because this is a little tough. Alright, so the way you put this, of course, you gotta feed these parts in first. So you gotta feed that in there, your pickup. You also gotta put your float in as well. Maybe we could probably do the float in first. Oh, there we go. So you do the float. This is tough, guys. The float, then we do the vent, and then you got to ease all this stuff in there slowly but surely. Look at where it's getting caught up on, and then try to, you know, just squeeze it in there. Let's see, maybe if I put that, there we go. So all right, we have the float in there. This component, what is this, the pump? Yeah, this is the pump. We got that in there. Then we gotta squeeze the filter in there. Oh, come on, it's getting caught up somewhere. Oh, there we go. All right, so now we gotta feed the filter in there as well. Let's put that in there before we seat it inside. Slide that in. There we go. In case you guys are not seeing, like I said, the camera feels like it's a little bit too close. Alright, now we gotta slide all of that. We're almost done, and that's in there. Now we gotta put our bolts in. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, and there's actually a torque pattern for this, so I have to look that up real quick. I'll give you guys the torque spec as well, in case you guys are wondering. And that's how you solve that puzzle of the fuel pump. So, yeah, it's a little crazy. So you got to make sure that these are fully seated. All right, you got to make sure that they go in down straight and they're not at an angle. So that's what we're doing right now. We're trying to make sure that that these bolts are in there properly and they're not at an angle or something like that that could cause this to you know, potentially break where is my little tool? Here it is. I found it. So we're just gonna see if this sits in there properly. It looks like it is. So looks like we don't have to worry about cross threading or anything like that. So you want to make sure these all fit flush before you crank on anything. You do not want this at a odd angle and then potentially breaking one of these bolts and giving you more work. So I always mention in the videos, you evenly thread these bolts in. Alright, so here we have it, found it. Here's the torque spec for the fuel pump assembly screws. Don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. It's 40 to 45 inch-pounds. Inch-pounds, okay? And then if you guys want to just go ahead and pause this real quick. That's your torque pattern. Alright, so 1. You guys are seeing my hand over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 down here. So it's not even really a star pattern, because if it was a star, you'd be going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. But this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 at the bottom. That would be the last one. Right, so I finally found the proper, of course, tool. This is the inch-pound, and we have a T25, which is the one that we need. Let's go ahead and set this at 40 inch-pounds. All right, there's that's 40 inch-pounds. There we go. See, the camera's picking up. Now we're going to number 3. There we go. Number 4. There we go. And then number 5. Alright, so that's 40 inch-pounds. If you just want to add a little bit more, you can, because it's 40 to 45 if you wanted to. We could add the 45, and then we could go over it again if you just wanted it a little bit tighter. And then we could go back here to, there we go, an extra 5 inch-pounds on that one. There we go, number 2, 3, 4, and then the last one, 5. There we go. So that's 45 inch-pounds. This is now ready to get installed back on the bike. Alright, thanks for tuning in. Life's a risk. Get out there and ride. Later.